everybody, welcome to the Faith and Fandom Podcast. I am here today with Brendon Jonsson. We're going to talk about some D&D, but welcome to Faith and Fandom on the Love Thy Nerd Podcast Network. Remember, you can check this out on YouTube at youtube.com/at Faith and Fandom LTN. You can find it on LTN's podcast channel as well. You can find it on the Glue Network on Roku channel or on Roku TVs or Roku adapters or whatever, however you watch Roku. I don't know how you Roku. Do you Roku?
Amazon.
You Amazon? Okay.
Yes.
But if you Roku, you can find the Glue Network and watch this there and listen to it as well. But thank you for joining with us. And there's a lot of other LTN podcast of options available. But this is the first time I've done an LTN podcast with somebody actually like in real life in front of me. So it's kind of a bit different. And so Brendon is going to be with us today talking about D&D, starting campaigns, the tortured life of a DM, and all the other things that goes with it. So how you doing, dude?
I'm good. I'm good. Just tired with life, but
It'd be like that.
yeah, it does be like that.
Um, for the majority of the time I've known you, wouldn't have qualified you or classified you as like a geek. You would have definitely checked the jock box for most of like, social scenarios, being that you are an athletic trainer and you work with sports balls and things.
Just sports.
Just sports balls.
Just
No, you have to say
just
sports
sport.
balls. With the sports balls. So what's your muggle job? Like, what's your real world job?
So as he mentioned, I'm an athletic trainer. I'm actually the director of athletic training at University of North Carolina at Pembroke, which is a small Division II institution here in Robeson County. And so what that means is I am responsible for the health and maintenance of all of our student athletes. So if not me directly, the rest of my staff. So when people play sports, they get hurt, and we're the people there on the front lines to evaluate, treat, rehab, diagnose, and return to play those athletes from those injuries.
So as he said, sports balls. Um, you actually like got recognition for like saving somebody's life like a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, it was 2015-ish. Um, yeah,
Sports balls happened and you saved people's lives and they gave you a trophy.
they gave me a certificate.
A certificate.
Yes.
That's still
For
important.
I it it was 99.9% of people in my situation when they would have done the exact same thing. So I didn't have to do CPR or anything crazy like that. So um, money people do more heroic things than what I had to do. So
But did they have a certificate?
maybe I don't know.
So where would you say that you started your foray for moving forward? I don't know. Foraging? I don't know, that's not the right word. When did you start like moving into the little geek world?
Uh, as soon as I establish a relationship with you.
It's not incriminating. You can't prove it.
No, it tracks pretty well. I don't know. I would say I always kind of enjoyed the Star Wars franchise, at least what was existing in the time. I'm just a fan of movies, so like I can watch like Marvel movies and DC movies and Star Wars movies and just enjoy the cinematic experience and not fall back on, oh, well, canonically or canonically or
Yeah,
however you say it, that
canon
didn't actually happen.
canon
And
non anonymous.
yes, so like I always kind of had that to fall back on. Like, I don't really care what all you crazy nerds think. And now here I am. I'm the crazy nerd saying, well, in the books.
Because
So,
you've like you are have kind of far surpassed me on book stuff because you've read The Lord of the Rings.
yeah.
Yeah, I've never done that.
Oh, you
Like,
should. It's good.
yeah,
It's so much, but the movies are excellent, phenomenal, and the books are even better. So, if you want to challenge everything that you thought was good about The Lord of the Rings, read the books because there's so much more in the books that aren't in the movies that will just blow your mind. Like there's entire characters and sections of books that aren't in the movies, and it'll just, yeah.
nerd. That's the thing. Like, you didn't just stop at that. You've also done Star Wars books.
Yes.
You've read more Star Wars books than probably the average person.
The
Um,
well, maybe the
no,
average person, not the average nerd person.
I don't know, dude. I don't know many Star Wars people that read Star Wars books.
Yeah, well,
Not as many as
it's
you've read.
nobody hates Star Wars as much as Star Wars fans. So I'm sure that there are somewhere out there people who hate the books.
Yeah.
So
So there's a copy of Thrawn sitting like directly behind me that I still need to read.
yep,
Um,
it completes my trilogy. So I
yeah.
have two-thirds of a box set at the house,
Don't worry, it's not going anywhere. Um,
literally.
um, so you are currently DMing the Dungeons and Dragons campaign that I'm a part of.
Correct.
And how did you get involved in the Dungeons and Dragons world?
Um, so my older brother Eric has been a DM for a long time. I'm not gonna guess at how many years to either insult him or belittle him. Um, but he's been playing Dungeons and Dragons and DMing for quite a while. And he decided that it was time to play with family. And when my sister moved back to New York, they had kind of started a campaign, and me and Brandy were up there one summer, and he was like, that was when the latest movie came out, the one with Chris Pine. He was like, all right, so we're gonna go watch this movie, and we'll see what you guys think, and then we're gonna go home and we're gonna make characters. And I want you guys to watch the movie first, so you have an idea of what each character is and what they do. And albeit the movie is not a great representation of the actual game, it was good enough to give somebody who had no idea a starting point. And so that's what we did. That was whenever that movie came out, we watched it in theaters. So
That's not long. That's like the
I want
last
to
four
say,
years.
yeah, I want to say 4 years ago. 2021 maybe. Yeah, summer of 21 maybe. Um,
Alexa, when did the Dungeons and Dragons movie come out?
not that one.
Not that one.
No.
Never mind. Carry on.
Yeah. So we watched the movie. Again, I enjoy just good movies, and so having not known anything about D&D before that, I always felt like that was like the next step, or like super deep nerddom. Like I was kind of at level 3, and then playing Dungeons and Dragons just automatically catapulted me to like level 7 of nerddom on a scale of 10. And
I mean,
roughly.
because that's the thing. Like, most people in the geek world, nerd world, are aware of it, but they don't do it.
I mean,
Uh,
I was aware of its existence, but I had no idea what it was. And honestly, I'm kind of mad that I had no idea what it was before, because it's just fun. Like it's a role-playing game, so it's a chance to escape your current reality and do something totally different. Obviously, adventuring is not something you're going to do in real life, at least most people. And so it's a way to kind of put yourself in that role, in that situation, and play it out.
um, for me, my biggest thing was I always my excuse was like I don't have time, and I don't have that many collective nerd friends with good schedules.
Yes.
Was always my like reason I was never going to do it. And then I've had
We
people
still have those problems.
yes. I'd had friends, people that say, you can just join us online, but like if I was going to do it, I wanted to do it like, face
Yeah,
to face. And realistically, I don't like, I needed people I trusted to do this because
it
like,
can get really sketchy really fast.
and I was like, if it's you doing it, I'm good. I'm comfortable with it. And so you, this is your first campaign you're DMing.
Correct.
How's it going for you?
You tell me.
No, 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 for real.
No, I mean, realistically, like one thing that I said when we before we started this campaign is, as the DM, I'm basically the narrator of the story that you guys are writing. So yeah, I have a book and notes and directions on where we want to go, but at the end of the day, we go wherever you guys decide your characters are going. And so if you guys are having a good time, I'm having a good time. So With that, I think one thing I underestimated going into it was just the sheer amount of prep work that goes into it. Even beyond like, so I don't do anything halfway. I really don't. You can ask Hector. It's one of the things that we're going to play racquetball. I'm going to have a nice racket and I'm going to have brand new racket balls.
The sports balls,
Sports balls.
as they're professionally
If we're
called.
gonna go golfing, like I'm gonna have a decent set of golf clubs and a decent set of golf balls. And so like I don't do anything halfway. Uh, so getting into this, I was like, all right, how overboard am I willing to go? Um, it's very far, by the way. Because it makes it fun. Like for I don't know, I'm really not answering the question, but
No, go. You're doing good.
from like the first session, I had my little dry erase board, and I drew on the maps and mentioned that this is not a high budget graphics campaign because that's not where I decided to spend my money. And then I found a less expensive way to make a decent map and came the next session with a printed out full color map. And
You
I
don't
think it,
you don't have to unfold it, but you should like just show how
okay.
girthy this thing is.
So, girthy is such a great word.
Girthy is a great
Yeah.
word.
And I think, just this little step of spending the money of whatever ink and paper I had at the house, I think it made the difference. I think it made it more fun for you guys.
Oh, definitely.
So we've got this bad boy right here. And I decided to save some money by not printing out the entire map. There's about 6 or 8 sheets of paper that I decided to not print because they had no impact on the game. So, but yeah.
And with that, I can say that I spent a couple hours, about 4 hours at this point, roaming around some of that, and it makes a difference. It really does.
Yeah.
So, like realistically, how much prep time are you putting into what you're doing right now?
Um,
For 1 week of campaign, how much prep time are you putting
okay.
in?
So that's kind of a loaded question because I prepare where I think we're gonna go, and then we don't get all of that done. So I put enough prep in for probably what would take about 6 hours to play, and we don't ever make it that far because
Yeah.
we have limited time frame. Like we can't most sessions, dungeons, levels, whatever are designed to run at about 4 hours, start to finish, and we only have about two and a half, 2 hours and 45 minutes tops really to play. So um going based on what my brother had kind of taught me is over prepare, have more planned for what you're going to get to, and then it'll make preparing for the next session easier because you've already got it prepared. So,
So there was one time we were playing recently, and you said, and that's our time or whatever, and
uh-huh.
basically the whole group revolted and said, no, we're
Yeah.
not
So
done.
we went like an extra 25 minutes to get through whatever stage we were at.
How did that
Yeah.
make you feel as a DM? Did that make you feel like you were like, yes, I'm doing something good? Was
Oh
the
yeah, I loved it. So we have one player, member. I don't know what we call these.
what? Oh, by
Uh,
what's our group name again? I don't know how to
oh,
say it out loud.
I have to look at it. It is. If there are nerds much more nerdy than me, I apologize if I mispronounce it, but I'm pretty sure it's attorney, like attorney, but like Otto, the name Otto, attorney, or oh, I tore my knee.
Yeah,
So it's Elvish for adventurer, I think, right? Or ally. No, it's Elvish for ally.
allies. Yeah,
So, because we were trying to come up
alliance.
with a, yeah,
Hold
because we were trying to come up with a party name, and we had the something allies, and then
It sounded
the
like
cauldron. Yeah,
bad church VBS names.
it was really bad. But whatever makes the group happy, and everybody was kind of like nobody was like voting on the names, and so I was like, okay, let's come up with something else. And then somehow I misspelled something, and everybody thought it was great. And I was like, oh, I actually misspelled that word. And they were like, oh, I thought it was Elvish for something. And I was like, well, I did a little research because, Lord of the Rings, was it
Tolkien.
Tolkien. Yeah, I was for some reason in my head I get Tolkien and Rowling's confused.
Hmm.
Just the names
Yeah,
because
yeah,
they're initial name.
yeah.
So, anyways, no offense. Um, so I went down the nerdy path of, well, Tolkien created the Elvish language essentially as when he wrote this book. So there's like a whole dictionary. And I went and looked up the Elvish dictionary for what a couple of our words were going to be, and I think the word for ally or alliance or something like that kind of looked really interesting. So yeah.
What has been your biggest surprise so far in your first campaign of DMing?
Um, Honestly, how other people are interested. Like our first session, well, our first playing session, we had some people familiar with you or the coffee shop owner or whatever, want to sit in and just watch because they
Yeah,
were interested to see how it was gonna go or how to run it. And
currently we're playing our campaign at a local coffee shop because we were originally going to play at our church building, and
scheduling conflicts.
scheduling conflicts and communication errors. um, but the coffee shop's been a much better experience than just
Yeah,
sitting in the church nursery playing
correct.
D&D. And we're
Correct.
also helping our local small businesses with the amount of beverages and snacks we buy
Yes.
during the campaign. But yeah, we had a couple local people sit in like just to watch how things were going to go. So
Yep.
that's been at least two times we've had just straight up three
Yeah, and then
times.
this last time, I think it was one of the sons of the owner was maybe they're helping doing some work on their upstairs. And for like the last almost hour, he'd sit in there for about 15 minutes, step out and come back. He was just watching and listening. And towards the end, he was like giving advice. He was like, "No, I don't think you guys should do that. No, I think you guys should do this." And it was just funny because he was like, and then afterwards, I'm cleaning up and he's like, "So what game is this? What are you doing? How are you deciding? Like, so are they fighting against you, or how does this work? Are you control?" And so it was just kind of a cool opportunity to just kind of talk about that. And it's not what people think it was. It's also not the 80s anymore when D&D was very young
The
and very
satanic
different.
panic.
Yeah. So, I mean,
It was really cracking me up though, because like you're sitting there like trying to behind your little tower of
hmm
death, like trying to make decisions, and like this dude's like sitting in the back, like
uh,
and like shooting eyes. It was pretty great. Um, what do you feel like's been your biggest challenge so far, DMing?
um, so I'm not a worrier. That's not the right word. I like to be prepared. So if I'm going to do something, I want to be prepared. I teach. I want to be prepared on what I have to teach. I obviously do athletic training and sports medicine, so I need to be prepared for whatever emergency situations might come up. And playing games, I want to be prepared. Like, so my biggest challenge is feeling like I'm prepared enough. One of the things we talked about in our session zero when we were creating our characters is I can't possibly know everything. So if you have a special ability that your character can do, you need to make sure that you write that down and can explain kind of the written rules surrounding that feature. Um, we can look it up if we have questions, but that just honestly that just wastes time. I want to get it right, but I would rather be like, yeah, that's kind of cool, that's kind of neat. Let's roll with this for now, and then I'll look it up later before we play next time. And if we need to make some adjustments because we did that wrong, or we did it wrong because we did something too good, or we did it wrong because we didn't make it good enough. Like we'll fix it and we'll correct it for the next time. But um, like I've got 6 players, I got Hector and 5 other people, and so they're all different classes. Most of them are different races, and so or species now they call them. So I can't possibly know what all of them can do at any given time, so it's up to them to kind of keep those notes. So for me, like I want to know what everything can do, so that way when you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to cast this," I can be like, "Oh, this is what it does and this is how you whatever, this is what I have to do controlling the NPCs. This is what I have to do as a result." And well, I can't. So when they want to cast when our druid wants to cast poison spray, I'm like, "Okay, what does that do?" and then she has to read what poison spray does, and then I react accordingly based on what I have to do. So eventually, things that we use a lot, I'll remember. Like I know what a longsword does because in both of my campaigns, I've used longswords. So stuff that I've done, I have a decent understanding of. But I've never played a druid. Brandy has, so there's that.
Brandy's
But
his wife, by the
yeah,
way.
shout out, Brandy. You're a real one.
Honestly, dude, having your wife, like, A, the fact that your wife plays D&D with you already, that's
Yeah,
a win.
yeah,
B, the fact that your wife is willing to like do a campaign with you with all the rest of us, and like she's like moderately supportive of like all of your DMing, and only
yeah,
slightly, gets frustrated when she knows that
yeah,
more than you do in some areas. But yeah,
yeah. So I was doing some research on our next adventure this week, and she walked out of the room, or she walked into the room that I was sitting in, and went to look at the computer to see what I was doing, and I had to cover it up and say, "No, you can't look, you can't look at this, you can't look at this map because this is the map we're about to go see, and it's got things on here that you can't see yet." So, um,
that's
but yeah,
that's gonna be the start being the excuse for every dude's struggles with the internet. It's like,
don't do that,
don't do
don't do
that.
that. Don't do that. And that's what makes it weird because we're relatively open about everything else. So like if I'm doing something on the computer and she looks on the computer, it's not a big deal. And so it was just kind of funny that I was like, no, no,
No,
no,
no, no, no.
you can't look. And so she's kind of like,
I
why?
was like, this is for the campaign.
Yeah. So I had to like show her the what I was doing without showing her what I was looking at.
And the trust issues began when I
They
DM'd
didn't.
my
We're
wife.
fine. We're fine. When I DM'd my wife. DM means two different things in this scenario.
It'll actually be, it's got a whole
So
array of
no, but I think it's
possibilities.
awesome because like obviously you guys don't know Brandy, you don't know me, but like you wouldn't peg Brandy as a oh, you played D&D
No,
and enjoy it and like
she's good too,
yeah,
like character
and
wise and everything.
because we played a couple different characters, we've done we kind of have our what I would call our running campaign with my brother and she's a druid in that one. Um, and then we played another quick little fun starter campaign, and she was what was she? I don't remember what she was, but she wasn't a druid. I think she was a ranger, which was kind of different for her. And then we're in another. We've kind of started another campaign with my brother because we're not able to. We only play the other one in person whenever we go up to New York, and so we only play that once or twice a year. So we started an online one, and she's a paladin in that one. So
Be careful tapping the.
she's a paladin in that one. So she's got a little different experiences. I've got some different experiences. Um, so it's helped. Obviously, if you've played before, it helps DM. I don't think that should be a prerequisite, but I think it should be encouraged. You should have at least played, you know, a couple levels of a character before you can run a game. Just it helps you understand the game mechanics better.
Um, what what do you feel like? Do you have any regrets so far in how you've done things?
Um, Not really. There was one situation that I was looking back on and I was like, oh, I totally could have done this and it would have been awesome. And I didn't because I didn't think of it in the time, but they say hindsight's 2020 and when you're running through things because again, I'm a teacher, so I'm like analyzing how I guess performed and all right, what did I not do great? Where can I prepare better? Um, what information did I not know and have to look up and looking back at one of the scenarios, I was like, oh man, I definitely could have made that way more, uh, which is a good thing for you guys because it would have made it way more challenging for you guys as players. But
Malicious
it
dishwasher.
would have been epic. So maybe not epic, but it would have been fun.
I'll say that one of the things that like because it's been fun the whole time. I don't think that it's been unfun at any point yet. Um, Minus character building because I was doing taxes. That was like
Yeah, but I mean, if I would have just walked in and handed you a sheet,
it wouldn't have been as fun. No.
no, you the pleasure, you're Cademan.
That's amazing.
is your character. You created him.
I know.
You might need to move the light so you
Yeah,
can see.
it's okay. I get him.
You designed him, right? Like you literally sent me a sketch of what you wanted your character to look like. And you got to choose all of his features, all of his proficiencies. You got to roll all of his ability scores. And so
Okay,
like
but
you know this person.
choosing is one thing. Bad dice rolling is another. Like,
Well, and that's why I said you rolled all of his ability scores. But
'cause
that's also what makes it fun. Like a character that has no negative trait is not fun because if you think about real life, like as great as you are as a person, as great as I am as a person, we have our negative traits. Trust me. I do. Maybe not him. But um so it makes it feel real life. There are going to be certain things that Cademan cannot do in game because he doesn't have, I don't remember, maybe not a high intelligence score.
yeah, I'm
Um
not rocking the genius.
so he's not going to be one to do a lot of the investigation and perception and medicine checks and stuff like that. But he's got a high strength score and he's really good at smashing things.
I also have
So
moderately good armor, so
yes, you have the highest AC in the group because you have chainmail and a shield.
that's always up.
Yes, that is always up. Yes, that is one thing. You learn that the hard way when you forget to say my shield's up because it lowers your AC and you got hit by something that you shouldn't have.
My shield has been
Yeah.
up the entire time we've been
Yep.
playing.
And that's what he says every time. By the
Is
way,
my
my
shield
shield is
up?
up. Well, you haven't done anything that you need two hands for yet, so yes, you have your shield.
Um, I was gonna say one of the things that made it more, but then when I was like really just took note of like how fun slash involved it was the last campaign or the last part of our campaign. Um, we were we were down a player because we had a scheduling
Yep.
conflict. So that player brought a lot of strength to the group,
Hmm.
and he was sitting it out
Yep.
like at the cave mouth or whatever, and which is this giant right there.
The
He
giant barbarian.
he was sitting it out at the beginning of the cave mouth, so we were down on numbers, and we're all attacking the thing, and then it was a flame duke, no,
Fume Drake?
fume
No.
drake, flame
Yeah.
duke, fume drake,
Fume
yeah,
Drake.
fume
Yep.
drake. They were fighting a fume drake, and one of them like once it got wounded, it exploded,
Yep.
and then like one flew right to me, and like
Oh.
I literally had dread. And it wasn't just like oh man, this is a part of story. I was like, no, 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 no,
Yeah.
no. Like I had
Yeah.
like
If you kill this dude next to me, he's going to explode and I'm going to take damage.
and like it was literally when I felt the like, no, like I had the actual like
He literally pleaded with the other character to not kill it so it didn't explode next to him.
because there's the dude on the other side of the cave
Hmm.
saying, "Hey, I'm gonna hit it with a with
With an arrow.
Eldritch
Oh,
Blast."
yeah.
He's like, "I'm gonna hit this thing with Eldritch Blast." I'm like, "If you do that, I'm gonna die."
Yeah.
And like, I'm literally trying to.
But did you die?
I was pleading for my life, and when I found myself actually like pleading, I was like, "Oh, I'm having fun."
Yeah,
And then,
exactly.
like, what are we 4 sessions deep? And one of the more introverted
Yes.
players finally spoke up and said,
Yeah.
"Hey, let's reevaluate this whole thing." And it
Yep.
was like people finally getting out of their stuff with it. So
Yep.
it's been,
And I had that meme saved for the moment that that player decided to embrace the role play.
yeah,
And it was wonderful that it only took 2 sessions.
yeah,
So, because I remember she left the first session kind of thinking that she didn't really have a voice. Like she didn't really, I don't know if she felt like she wasn't heard or she didn't speak up enough.
yeah.
I don't know, but and so it was nice to kind of see that develop. And this is a game. And at the end of the day, it is just a game. But it's fun. And when people are having fun, they're more willing to talk. So,
When it's been received well too at the coffee shop we're doing it, like the coffee shop owner like said, "Hey, we need you to get you to run more games here and host other things."
yeah.
And no.
Yes.
um, so let's say for someone who's watching this who's never played,
Hmm.
what encouragement or advice would you give them for finding a campaign or getting started, or like just if somebody was trying to put their foot in the door of starting to play,
Hmm.
what would you recommend?
Um, so I think the hardest part would be finding some people to play with, right? Um, but there are, if there's a local game shop that you can go to and ask, they would probably be some of the people that would know of something going on just because they sell the material, or people who are interested in D&D are also interested in other things. So, there might be some crossover and carryover there. Um, there are online platforms that you can play like D&D Beyond and Roll20. Those are all big names, but getting on Reddit and Discord and stuff like that, which can be really, really sketchy. But it's a tool that can be useful, and that's what a lot of people who play online do it that way. Um, and then, YouTube is a great resource. Watch I mean, there are like the big like $100,000 production. Like you can go watch people play in Madison Square Garden or something. That might be a little over the top, but watching a YouTube video of some of these guys play, like Critical Role is probably one of the most famous and highly productive, like in terms of what they put into it. Um,
Now there's traveling stage shows as
right.
well.
That's what I mean. So you can go watch them play in like the Crown Coliseum, I don't know if they come to Fayetteville, but
Yeah.
yeah. So, just
Ooh, we should do a D&D retreat.
I'm listening.
Like just like get like a big Airbnb at the beach or something and like just
Yeah.
do
So
do it for like a whole
we
weekend.
played we played a whole starter campaign, which is level 1 through 3. Um and we played the whole session. We created our characters beforehand, but we played all 3 levels in a week. And we played for 4 or 5 hours a night. And we played 2 or 3 nights in a row, took a night off, played another couple nights, took a night off, played a couple nights. Like it was the math probably doesn't have math there, but so I mean it's possible. Like we could play if we had the people and the stamina and the attention span. Like I mean, 4 or 5 hours a session, you can usually get through one of those chapters, maybe 1 or 2 chapters a level. So
We could just do like a D&D lock-in.
you know,
We just do,
good.
yeah, either way. So that's for, and one thing I'll add in my limited bit of experience so far, one of the best things I could recommend if you are interested in actually just playing would be to play Baldur's Gate 3. Um, because Baldur's Gate 3 is literally D&D,
Yep.
but just in computer form,
Yep.
in video game form. And so the spells, the locations, the way that the roles work,
Hmm.
all of the stuff that made no sense to me when I started playing Baldur's Gate 3, all of a sudden makes perfect sense now playing in this
Yeah.
campaign. And I feel like now I would probably enjoy Baldur's Gate 3 more because I'm actually doing this and have a better understanding of it. But in terms of the play structure, things like that, if you don't have people to start out with, starting off with a game like Baldur's Gate 3 would be a good way to
Hmm.
get you in there because literally the spell that Home Dude tried to kill me with the other week is a spell I used all the time in Baldur's Gate 3 and I was like not with that one. Um
Eldritch Blast.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Eldritch Blast, because it's there's a dude, and because we're in the Storm Coast, right?
Sword Coast.
Sword
Yep.
Coast. Yeah, there's a dude named Will from the Sword Coast
Yep.
who uses Eldritch Blast, and like, I'm like, I want to die by Will.
Yeah.
Um, so that's for playing. So to flip it, if you were to tell, if like, say someone's already playing or anything else,
Hmm.
if they want to become a DM, what would you recommend for them to do to start that process?
Um, Honestly, just try it. Like it doesn't take much. Like we could run an entire campaign with just the two of us, me DMing and you playing, or vice versa. Now, honestly, it probably wouldn't be as fun as it would be with multiple people, but it would be no different than playing a video game, so it's like you still would have that interaction. So just do it. Look into it. Again, you same thing like what I did, because I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then after I agreed to it, I was like, oh crap, I don't know what I'm doing. So, read the stories that you want to play. There's tons of DM resources on multiple different uh, websites that you can either read or watch on YouTube, and a lot of them will give you really good ideas. And I think the best part, like with basically anything that you want to do, is you pick and choose what little bits that you want. So you don't have to do it solely the way that I do it. I don't have to do it solely the way my brother does it, but I take little bits from all the different things that I see and put them together. So the same thing as playing, just research it and do it. Because at the end of the day, we're going to make mistakes as a DM. You're going to make mistakes, but you make mistakes as a player too. Like, oh, I really wish I would have done this in that situation instead. Well, you just learn from it and move forward. What's your little Yoda thing right here I was reading before? It's the greatest teacher failure is. So, when you fail, you can learn from that situation. Now, when you're rolling dice and you're rolling nat one, you have no control over that. That's at the fate of the dice. But, other decisions are made by groups deciding on what to do, and that's what makes it
The
fun.
amount of shame I felt rolling that once was like, I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to crawl under a desk.
Yeah,
Uh,
but then, 2 or 3 rolls later, you roll a nat 20 and you're
Not
like, "Yeah,
me.
20.
Not me.
So, well, no, not you, but
The
I'm
other
not talking
people.
about you.
Other people are rolling nat
Yeah.
20s. It ain't me.
So, but on that, like as a DM, I think part of that I was just discussing with people online earlier today is, if a nat 20 is meant to be exciting, how can I make that exciting for you? Then a nat 1 should also be exciting, but maybe on the opposite end of the spectrum. Like something is going to come from this roll. Like a nat 20 is usually exciting. It's usually an automatic success or a really good attack roll, a really good attack hit. You get extra damage and all that stuff. And so a nat 1 has got to carry some sort of consequences as well. And to me, that just kind of completes the circle and it makes everything fun and exciting.
If I'm not mistaken, when we last played, I threw a javelin at a flame duke,
Fume Drake.
fume drake.
Yep.
I'm never going to get that right.
Yes, you are.
Flame duke. Anyway, I threw a javelin at a fume drake,
Uh-huh.
rolled a nat one,
Yep.
missed the fume drake,
Yep.
and hit a crystal on the other side of the cavern, which was
Yes.
part of the storyline.
Yes.
Wh-
And that's where, when I was saying there were things I should have done differently, that's what I should have done different. Because at the thing, basically this crystal shattered and something fell from it and it became another bad guy. And at that time, I was like halfway there through the thought process. And then I just stopped. Like, okay, well, that's all that happens. Well, no, what should have happened is when you hit it mid-battle, you cause that bad guy to come up then.
yeah, that probably would
And
have been terrifying.
yes, and it would have honestly, it would have made the whole experience, in my opinion, better. But because his nat one didn't really have a consequence, it just missed and some crystals broke off. But
There was much mercy in
yes, there
your
was.
team. I've seen I've seen you work pastorally, and I was like, there's pastoral mercy in that one. There really was. Uh, um, one thing too, I also recommend for both DMing and playing is watch Stranger Things. If you haven't, and I know that's not your jam because you don't do spooky.
Yeah.
Um, so just for your own information and edification, um, each season of Stranger Things is a different monster in real life. The game of Stranger Things starts off with a group of four boys playing Dungeons and Dragons. And what happens is each season parallels their D&D campaign. But there's a real life monster in each season, but each monster is a D&D monster. So the Demogorgon, like that I
Mm-hmm.
gave you in the box the other day,
Mm-hmm.
is the monster in season one.
Mm-hmm.
The Mind Flayer is season two. Vecna is season three,
Mm-hmm.
or something to
Yeah.
that effect. Yeah. There's something, but it's progressive. So
Interesting.
every monster in Stranger Things is a D&D monster and revolves around how they're playing their campaign. And one of the last season, I think was season four, uh, like literally had the whole town witch hunting the guy who was leading the D&D campaigns, which is now the main dude in the Fantastic Four movie and the Gladiator movie, and
Mm.
that's coming up anyway. Stranger Things is a good experience of teaching you what it is because, like, there's one kid who's literally been possessed by a devil and brought from the gates of hell and back, and all he wants to do is play D&D with his friends, and they're too busy,
Yeah.
and so that's fun. Um, one of the questions I've gotten most since I started showing pictures and
Hmm.
stuff or telling people that I'm playing is like, are we broadcasting it? Are we
No.
recording it? Are we podcasting? And the answer is currently no. But here's the question that I have for you.
Hmm.
Um, is that something you would be interested in, open in? How do you feel about that?
Um, yeah, no, because I've thought about that because I think Brandy asked me, like she was kind of surprised maybe that we weren't or that it hasn't come up yet. But I think Brandy and our other introvert on the table would probably be the two that would be like, maybe not. Um, but I think it would be cool. Like, I don't think we would get, 100 million followers or anything, but I also had 2 million views smashing a bottle with a stump.
Stupid
So,
TikTok
uh,
and their safety violations.
yeah, in that weird sock. I had just had a procedure done on my leg and I had to wear a compression sock on that leg.
We
And
went to a rage room for my
yeah,
birthday, and I had a TikTok go viral to the point that it had 500,000 likes in under like 4 minutes or something.
yeah,
And it was like, and then they took it down because it was dangerous.
yeah,
Thanks,
because
guys. Also, it was dangerous, but
I mean, yeah, I was, but it wasn't that dangerous.
no,
So,
there's people like jumping Maseratis, and
yeah,
we can't like drop a stump.
no. And it was, yeah, it was pretty fun. And just the one comment I remember to this day is, so is nobody going to talk about that weird sock? And, oh well, here we are. Um, but no, so recording it I think would be kind of fun. I would probably feel a little self-conscious as the narrator of the story, the one kind of running everything, just because I know I'm not perfect and I don't know everything, but I think that's kind of also half the fun is we're all just kind of figuring this out. We're all playing. Like I am not actively playing a character and taking turns, but I am. Like I'm playing the NPCs and I'm playing the bad guys, and so I am playing, but I'm also directing, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
And,
So,
and one of the things that like because you don't know how exhaustive this is until you're doing it,
hmm
like for your end, because like I still don't know how exhaustive it is because the amount of prep time you put into this is still beyond me. Um, like I always thought, even not just with our campaign, but like I was like, I'll be fine. I'm good at improv or whatever.
hmm
That part was fine, but when you realize all the other stuff that goes with DMing, it's just like, ugh, like
yeah,
it's work.
yeah. So I mean, it's very parallel to teaching or preaching. Like when you prepare to go up there and speak on stage, you have to know what you're saying. And teaching is the same thing. I would say probably more closer to teaching because 9 times out of 10, you're not getting asked a question in the pulpit, right? So unless certain people are there, but they're not usually that bad. Anyway, so at any point I can get asked a question from one of my students based on what I'm teaching, and I need to be prepared enough to know, but also if I don't know, I need to be okay saying, I don't know the answer to that. So we'll either come back to it next session or I'll message you in a couple days when I get you an answer, or I don't know. So let's run it like this because that sounds right, and then correct it on the back end. So,
And like you do so much work. Like I know we held some of these figures up earlier, but you like after we picked our characters, you got appropriate species characters, and then you had us give you descriptions, and you've been painting
mhm.
them
Yep.
and doing all this stuff for them, and that's a lot of love and detail to put into this stuff. Like also, how the
Yeah.
crap do you paint things so small?
It is very, very hard. My eyes hurt when I'm done.
No, bro, this is.
My eyes hurt when
I was
I'm
like,
done. I can only do like so I painted these two at the same time this time. My and our barbarian wasn't bad because he's literally only got like a kilt and then skin. But guys, skin tones is probably the hardest thing ever to paint. Because skin tones just don't match right out of the box. But He wasn't bad because he was basically just a kilt and then skin, so there was no tiny details. Um, but on
He's
so
got some blades on his front as
yeah,
well.
so our ranger here's got some more detail. He's got some knives and stuff on his waistband. And then where his armor overlaps with his underclothes, there's some detail to paint there.
This is
Um,
the freaking octopus we killed 3 weeks ago or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and
Um,
yeah,
yeah, so painting is it took me about 4 hours to paint these two characters together. Maybe 3 hours, and then another hour throughout the week of doing the final finishing touches of like spraying them with varnish so the paint doesn't wear off when we handle them because these minis are made to be played with, not just displayed. So, yeah,
it's stupid work.
yeah, and that's honestly we play every other week right now, and I think if we were to play every week, it would be I'm not gonna say it would be impossible. I'm not gonna say it would tax me because I think playing every week would be fun, but it would be I would have to prepare regularly. Like every Tuesday night or something, I would have to make sure I'm sitting down and typing up my notes and figuring out where we want to go.
Well, dude, I just know even doing news research on Thursday nights for my podcast on
Yeah.
Friday morning is like exhausting, let alone painting a minifigure. Screw
Yeah,
that
and then
junk.
we have one player who is all in.
Oh my
And
gosh,
it's great
so
and I
in.
love it and I don't want it to change because it makes it fun and it challenges me because he asks questions and he wants to do things and I need to make sure that I'm on my toes. But so I have to do extra research in
Just for
case
him.
in case he asks this question or he's like I want to spend an hour of my downtime in game like when we do our long rest in the library researching these topics. Okay. So next session, I need to be prepared to tell him what he learned in that hour. And I didn't do that last time, and I told him, you learned things, but we'll talk about it later. So it's yeah, the prep work again, I underestimated it and I texted my brother and I was like, dude, when you told us that we couldn't play because you didn't have time to prepare, I had no idea what you meant, and I totally get it now.
Um, so just because we briefly mentioned it, um, and it doesn't have to go crazy on the spiritual end of things, but to say this, but for the people that have always been like afraid of D&D, because the devil,
Yeah.
um, now now that you've played and you're DMing and
Mhm.
all the things, like what do you have to encourage or tell people in that capacity?
I think probably more on the sketchy things of being a Christ follower and a believer is like you is probably less on the evil part and it's more on the other gods part. Like there are so many gods in like little g gods for clarification in this world, like in the world of Dungeons and Dragons, like so your character here is a paladin, right? And a paladin is essentially a knight or a warrior that's sworn an oath to a deity. And so you've sworn an oath to some deity, which is how you got your magic, right? So how do we deal with that as a believer is probably more um my struggle than the evil part because yeah, I mean we're forces of good fighting the forces of evil. I can handle that. That's fine. There's evil all over the place. Um but also at the end of the day, it's just a game.
It's
It's just pretend. At the end of the day, I'm not going home and praying to these other little g gods. And that's it. Like it's just a game. It's no different than playing Call of Duty and now all of a sudden I'm yeah, yeah, things that I'm not going to say online. So it's just
By the way, the Ninja Turtles are coming to Call of Duty. I don't feel good about that at
what's
all.
this Fortnite?
Right, it is. They're
Yeah,
turning it into
no,
Fortnite.
that's ridiculous. But like, I mean, to me, it's no different of an argument of the classic, well, if you play shooter games, then you're going to want to be a shooter, or if you play racing games, then you're going to want to drive fast and reckless. Like if you play a game like this that has a polytheistic view, then you're going to then in turn be polytheistic. I don't think there's a parallel. So,
It does make me want to wear chainmail and have a sledgehammer.
Yes, I was not looking that up the other day. Because I was saying kind of our primary campaign, I'm a bronze dragonborn samurai fighter,
Oof.
and I definitely do not have a samurai hoodie and two cosplay swords in my closet. I don't.
It's not like there's a warhammer like up there and like 4 or 5 shields directly around us all around.
Yeah, but you live this world. You write in this world. You're active in it. I'm a guest.
Yeah,
Like,
I've got I've got a travel visa in this
yeah,
world.
I read the books. So,
You're a tourist.
yes, I have the stamps in my passport, but I don't live there.
Fair. Yeah, I get that. So like normally I would tell like people as we're ending a podcast, give us all your socials for people to follow. I know that's not your jam. Um,
No, my Facebook's private. I don't have Instagram and I don't have TikTok, so
no, nothing for you.
no.
Um,
Follow Hector. Give Hector all your likes. And if you want to see us broadcast a session, let him know.
yeah,
Maybe we'll do that because I think it would be kind of fun.
maybe
But
not this week, but maybe next week. But
yeah, this week is probably gonna be a hot mess, so
yeah,
it's all right.
we're having to move days and locations
Yeah.
because of work conflicts, and so and it's like extended travel hours and all the chaos. But we'll see. Um, Brendon, thank you for taking the time to show all this. Oh, also, I want to point this out. One of the things that kind of started our whole D&D conversation between me and him is that Brendon makes these dice towers, which if you've ever watched my Friday morning news podcast or whatever, where I like rolled dice for things, he made these awesome dice towers, and that's just love the freaking sound of it. But that's kind of like what started the conversation. How did you get into that?
So that actually was like a Bob Ross happy little accident because my brother who got us started in D&D, his birthday, we were actually going to be in town and playing for his birthday. And I don't think I'd really gotten him much of a birthday present for years just because that's
Your
like,
adults and
yeah.
life be life.
So here's a text message. But like I was like, I really want to make him something practical. I'm a practical person. If I'm going to give you, I want you to be able to use it. I don't, a gift card is fine because you can use that, but like I don't necessarily want to give you something to sit on the shelf, right? So I wanted to make him something that he was going to use, and I knew he enjoyed Dungeons and Dragons, and he ran it and he played it, and I was like, he doesn't have a dice tower. Dice towers are things. I can build things, so I will make him one. And I made him one, and he loves it, and I love it, and then Hector was like, I want one. And I was like, okay, happy birthday. And now he's a paladin in the streets and a bard in the sheets. That's what the sticker says for reference.
Also, I've got a Militank on the back because it's my daughter's least favorite Pokemon.
It is also my least favorite Pokemon because that man does not take damage from these.
Oh, by the
So,
way,
oh, Pokemon is the other nerd thing that I'm into. But
yeah, true.
yeah,
I got a card right over somewhere wherever my cards are.
which
That
is who knows where now.
yeah, somewhere in the because
Yeah.
we just moved a bunch of stuff. Does it EX's baby?
Oh yeah, because that was always my loophole was nope, it doesn't take damage from V's, but this here's a VX. And
I've got
now
a card sitting in my pile that disqualifies EX damage.
great. Wonderful.
We'll have fun. But
Yes.
yeah, so that's the thing. Well, Brendan, thank you for taking the time to discuss D&D and for coming after a long day of work and all the other things you've been doing. And thank you for leading our dungeon campaign because it's been a delight.
Good.
Um, and I appreciate it greatly. If y'all want to I don't know, since you can't follow Brendan, I usually post our little Bible studies that we do and some pictures from our D&D game and maybe
And the losses that he takes in Pokemon card game.
we'll edit that out. Um,
You better keep that in there.
Matt just cut right there. I've got lots of wins. Um, lots of wins.
Lucky I don't keep track of your losses.
Well, That's what grace is.
Anyways, weren't you gonna say something?
If you well, you'll see me around. I'll give you some updates as we move forward. But thank you for taking time to listen or to watch. Remember, you can find more of these episodes over on the Faith and Fandom LTN YouTube at youtube.com/at Faith and Fandom LTN, on the Glue Network, and wherever you find your podcast through Love Thy Nerd. And thank y'all for taking the time to be a part of this. Bye.
Bye.